Alright, after the sadness that was Elkreed's short stories, let's jump into Ulrik's and see what's going on with him and his short stories. He also has 3. So I wonder where we're going to pick up with him for all these. Yeah, like one of these has to at least be the one where he runs off with Cyrus and leaves Libralitas after it just descends into chaos. Okay. I'm invested to start.
It's so cold. I'd left Elt's home a few days before. Cyrus and I had left what we called the depths. We were outside human settlements in unexplored land. We didn't know where we were headed. The towns didn't satisfy us, so we kept going.
Then we came back.
And we were still using the tunnels. It was safer than walking along the surface.
How far did these tunnels go?
We never slept in inns, looking for the place farthest from where we had come from. She's sleeping well. We slept in turns, sharing a blanket. We were sitting against the wall as you slept, with your sword leaning against you. I watched you and kept the fire going. I had a lot of time. If only there was a way to take a library with you.
Yeah, cell phones haven't been invented yet.
We were only carrying the basics. I locked up my secret place. Not that anyone knew about it. I felt uneasy about losing it. I missed my hiding spot. I wasn't going to cry, but still. When I thought about what I had lost, it hurt. Your sleepy voice pulled me back. I thought you had woken up, but no. We walked a lot. Of course you want to sleep. I wanted to sleep as well. Still, it was my turn to tend the fire, so I couldn't. I said I'd look after it. Promises. Things you said you would do for someone else. I'd made many of them with Elt. Some were easy, some weren't. So many of them. He'd never broken any of his promises. At least I thought. I can't be sure, what with his personality. Elt had to work hard for my trust. He knew that I didn't trust anybody. And he still... Or because of it, I guess. Elt had told me the truth before leaving for the Heights. He'd known he was probably going to die and never come back. I told him not to go, but he hadn't relented. Not even half-heartedly. Agreeing with me would have been a betrayal of sorts. If he had done as I said, he would have betrayed the trust of many others as well. He acted like he never cared, but he did. And so he left, smiling, leaving you and I behind. I'm hardened to it. To betrayal as well, more than Elt is.
You know, thinking of Elt's mission now, where he, like, blew himself up, would that have killed Yune? Is the Godstone capable of protecting against a bomb? I wonder.
I wasn't going to believe he was dead until I'd seen it with my own eyes. If I could see him again, he was going to have to listen to all of my complaints. I was going to survive until then.
Sorry, I slept too long.
You woke up as I was telling myself to continue for the 100th time. I wasn't sure whether you had overslept or not. Are you awake?
Yes, I will look after the fire.
You got up. You stretched your arms and looked around. I looked at you and your enthusiasm, asking whether you intended to do it standing.
Yes,
you said and nodded.
I don't want to fall asleep again, so don't worry about me and sleep.
I want to. The talking had only made me more alert. Let's walk then. I folded the blanket and you asked me if I was sure, as I thought you would. I'm sure. I'm pretty hardy. I shouldered the backpack with the blanket in it and extinguished the fire. I want to get out of these tunnels.
Out.
Or do you want to keep living underground? We're not moles, you know. You followed after me.
You think we can get out this way?
Of course. Trust me. Not that I'm trustworthy. You quickened your step to walk next to me, and I continued. These aren't natural tunnels. Someone built them. They have to end somewhere.
I wonder what the surface looks like there.
Who knows? My library only had documents from before the flood.
Wasn't information your job?
I looked away, frustrated at hearing this pointed out. True, but I don't know. We both will soon enough. We'll look at the world outside and learn. I'll be the most learned fairy of them all.
That's good to know.
Who do you think I am? I'm Ulrik Ferrie. That sounded more like something Elt would say. My family name was worthless and unknown to most. I have to live with my heritage, and it's not even so bad, all things considered. I smiled, feeling Elt may have infected me, and walked onward. Let's get going. Don't fall behind, Cyrus.
He smiles at the thought of Elt infecting him. Ulrik loves his bro. Okay, that wasn't super sad. So they're still trying to find a place to call home, eh? Living underground. Well, at least they're continuing on. I think Ulrik is handling things better than Elt did. In this one, I was wondering, like, is the second story always, when I was but a wee lad, my life was very sad when, ...
My mother was taking me somewhere. We went to a half-ruined house on one of the back streets. She rolled up the old carpet on the floor to reveal a rusted metal door. She gave me the bag and unlocked it. It opened with a heavy creak and soon filled the air with dust. I looked inside and saw a long stone staircase. It was dark, and I couldn't see where it led. My mother looked around and began to descend. I hurried after her. This is... I'd never seen this place before. The stone corridor led onward. Around us was a river of some kind, or a lake. There was a constant sound of running water. The ceiling was high, with minerals protruding from it like icicles. It was so cold that I was shivering. How far are we going, Mom? My mother said nothing. That wasn't rare. My mother rarely said much. What are we doing here? She only occasionally turned around to look at the path we had come through. I wasn't scared since she was with me, but it wasn't the kind of place I liked to visit. Eventually, we came up to a heavy metal door. A dead end. My mother said no and shook her head. Her fingers traced the characters on the door. And then... there was a click, and the door opened. Wow! Mom, that's amazing!
You can do it too.
She smiled softly at me and took my hand. I touched the door and walked inside.
So was your mom a fairy then? I have wondered about this. This is the heritage of the fairy.
Heritage? I didn't know that word, so my mother had to explain it. It was a secret library which the fairy had maintained. Most of the books had been published before the flood. If it's secret, should I know about it?
Yes, you're a fairy too.
My mother took a book from the shelves. She smiled at me and touched the binding. She looked so happy. My mother often read books. I'd always wondered where she had bought them.
She must have brought them from here.
That making sense to me, I looked around.
There are more than I could ever read.
Yes. Do you like that?
Through my mother's influence, I also liked reading. Cute. I nodded vigorously and said yes.
Did you read them all?
No. At least half of them are left. It's very sad.
Mom.
I knew why this made her sad. My mother was going to die soon.
I don't want her to die.
She told me herself. Not today or tomorrow, but we would have to part.
Then I will read them. I will read all of them if you couldn't.
Thank you, Ulrik.
My mother patted my head. Her slender fingers combed my hair.
This isn't all I wanted to show you. There's something even more important here.
My mother put the book back on its shelf and took my hand again.
The secret of the Ferrie is too heavy for you right now, but you have to know. Be strong. We have to accept it and show restraint.
Accept. And show restraint.
What could there be?
To the child I was, the fairies meant little. I just loved my mother, so I did what she wanted.
Maybe I will understand when I grow up. If I read all these books, maybe I will understand.
I hoped there would be an answer I could accept. And with that, I locked away another secret inside myself.
So your mom taught you about the whole mechanism holding the heights up, eh? Interesting. So she knew she was going to die. You and Els sure had similar experiences as far as moms are concerned, didn't you? Okay, so far I have been dealing with this a little bit easier. Thanks, Ulrik. Watch him gut punch me now in short story number 3.
So, what are you going to do with me? I had no idea where to start or what to talk about. So I asked the man in front of me for no particular reason. He was a young man, brimming with confidence and wearing glasses. Elkcreed Valentine. Our families had been connected for a long time, although I didn't know all the details. I guess it's a little more complicated. They'd known each other even before the flood, and that was a long time ago. My mother had tried to avoid contact. I had never really had the urge to contact them either. And yet, here we are. We'd met after I had tried to burglarize their home, and I'd gotten embroiled in his issues. Before my confusion could subside, he had taken me out of my comfort zone.
He is good at that.
Not only was he the head of a large bank, he had become the district's representative as well. Too much social status. He had everything where I had nothing. He lived purely in the light. Merely looking at him made my chest burn.
I do have to wonder.
Elkcreed was sitting on a couch on the other side of a table. Was he making fun of me? Was he testing me? Did he have no clue? Elkcreed gave me an amused smile.
What would be good?
Good what? I had no idea what he was talking about.
This place.
Elkcreed stomped at the ground.
This district is mine now. I think it needs a new name.
Apparently having no brilliant idea of his own, he crossed his arms and looked at the ceiling. A name? Why now? Hey.
You have a good idea?
I winced when I saw his gleaming eyes. No! That's not it! What are you going to do with me? That had been my original question. I really don't care what this place is called. It doesn't affect me at all.
It should matter to you.
He waited a moment before arguing. I was surprised by the strength in his voice and waited.
Wondrous, wonderful wonderland. Wunderbar. Oh, please, Ulrik, tell me you were the one that saved him from this name. Would you like it if I called this district Wondrous, Wonderful Wonderland?
Huh?
Would you like it?
Hard to say.
You wouldn't. You have to list an address and tell people where to send your luggage. The Wondrous, Wonderful Wonderland? You could shorten it to Wonder, 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 or 111.
I really don't.
Oh, do you actually like it? What do we do now? Then let's use a different example. Sprung Up Paradise. Hey, it's paradise. It sounds like we're a tiny special garden compared to other districts. Hyperbole, exaggeration, hubris. Even the abbreviation would be ridiculous. It would be SUP. I'm from SUP. Oh no. A district name nobody wants to utter would be terrible. I have to give it a name that the people can use proudly. Listen, this is really, really important work.
Damn. He was an idiot. A huge idiot. If it's so important, you should do it by yourself.
Why?
Because I'm basically an outsider, right? If I was so important for the district, all the more if it was so important for the district, all the more reason I shouldn't be involved. The moronic man in front of me gave me a look of disagreement.
You're not an outsider. You're my right hand now.
What?
Right hand. My right hand. An arm is a limb protruding from a human being's upper...
He rambled on when I said nothing. Stop! That's it! I know what an arm is, you idiot!
I see. Good. It isn't that easy to explain once you get down to it.
He looked at me as though he was genuinely happy. I thought he'd be a bit saner. He looked so proper and uptight, but he was a real weirdo. Don't people tell you that you're weird?
Occasionally.
More often than that, I bet. We're basically strangers. Why would you make me your right hand? You don't think it's dangerous?
Not at all. And we're not strangers.
The oath that the fairies and Valentine swore.
Yes,
He said and nodded. That was ages ago. Why would anyone care about that?
I will obey our oath at least.
Why?
Because we met again.
Elkreed snapped his fingers. Servants came and placed cups on the table. They poured us hot black tea.
Frankly, I had almost given up on you. I just couldn't find you no matter how hard I looked.
Elkreed drank the tea and continued.
I was worried you had died in the streets. And now here we are. Don't you think it must be fate that we've met once more?
Fate. Creepy.
I know, I think so too.
What? Why would you say it then? Elkreed laughed and finished his tea.
It is how it is, but telling another man you share a destiny is not something I enjoy. Still,
He said, put the cup back and crossed his legs.
our meeting really is blessed by fate. We need to nurture this bond. I look forward to working with you, Ulrik.
He nodded at me, but I didn't know how to respond. What could I say? I guess I'll live here now, so... Same, I mumbled and got up.
Ulrik,
Liberalitas.
Ulrik, you're brilliant.
Elkreed exhaled. I looked at him and said it again. It's an old word from long before the flood. Saving those in need is the meaning. I guess you like that kind of thing.
Awesome. Well done, sir.
I took my bag and straightened my clothes.
Ulrik.
I'm just going back to sleep. I'll be back tomorrow. See you, Elkreed. I left the building and looked back over my shoulder. I remember this building. Vaguely. My mother had taken me there when I'd been small. I never thought I'd go there again, but now it was going to be my new base of operations. Fate, huh? Ultimately, I was bound by the fate of the Ferrie, I thought. I went back to my library, pondering an uncertain future. Back to the only place that never changed. My personal paradise.
Okay, I'm like, are we loading the library? That was a long fade to black. Fate of the Ferrie. That is cool. I really like that we got that info that Ulrik was the one who named Liberalitas. Imagine it being Wonderful Wonderland, whatever it was. Wondrous, Wonderful Wonderland. Somebody call 111. Well, Ulrik, thank you for not being too much of a tearjerker. I appreciate you, sir. Okay, so that was Ulrik's short stories. Next time, we will do adages. Hope to see you there.